Minerva, or Athena as she was known to the Greeks, was the goddess of wisdom and daughter of Jupiter. She was said to have willed herself into existence by leaping forth from his brain, fully matured and fully armored. She presided over the practical and ornamental arts of both men and women, such as agriculture, navigation, spinning, weaving, and needlework. She was also a goddess of war, but it was defensive and strategic war only that she patroned. And she shared no love in her brother Mars' savage thirst for pure violence and bloodshed. Athens was her chosen seat. Her own city, awarded to her as the prize of a contest with Neptune, who also aspired to claim it. The tale ran that in the reign of the first king of Athens, the two deities contended for the honor of patron god of the new city. The gods decreed that it should be awarded to that one who produced the gift most useful to the mortals. Neptune gave the horse. Minerva produced the olive. The gods gave judgment that the olive was the more useful of the two, and awarded the city to the goddess, and would bear her namesake henceforth. Athens, city of the violet crown. There was another contest, in which a mortal dared to come in competition with Minerva. That mortal was Arachne, a maiden who had attained such skill in the arts of weaving and embroidery that the nymphs themselves would leave their groves and fountains to come and gaze upon the mastery of her craft. It was not only beautiful when it was done, but beautiful also in the making. To watch her as she took the wool in its rude state and formed it into rolls, separating it with her fingers and carded till it looked as light and soft as a cloud. One would have said that Minerva herself had taught her. But this she vehemently denied, and could not bear to be thought of as anyone's pupil, even that of a goddess. "Let Minerva try her skill with mine," said Arachne. "If beaten, I will pay the penalty." Minerva heard this and was displeased. She assumed the form of an old woman and went and gave Arachne some friendly advice. "I have had much experience, and I hope you will not ignore my counsel. Challenge your fellow mortals as you will, and take pride in your gifts of which the gods have granted. But do not compete with a goddess. On the contrary, I advise you to ask her forgiveness for that what you have said, and as she is merciful, perhaps she will pardon you for such hubris." Arachne stopped her spitting and looked at the old dame with anger and disgust in her visage. "Keep your counsel for your daughters and handmaids, for by my part, I know what I say, and I stand by it. I am not afraid of the goddess. Let her try her skill against mine, and if she dare, come and face me herself." She comes. Minerva, dropping her disguise, stood proud and radiant before Arachne. The nymphs bent low in homage, and all the bystanders paid reverence. Arachne alone was unterrified. How However, she blushed indeed. A sudden color dyed her cheek. And then she grew pale in the presence of the goddess. But she stood to her resolve, and with a foolish confidence of her own skill, rushed on her fate. Minerva forbore no longer, nor interposed any further advice. They proceeded to the contest. Each takes her station and attaches the web to the beam. Then the slender shuttle is passed in and out among the threads. The reed with its fine teeth strikes up the wolf into its place and compacts the web. Both work with a harmonious blend of grace and speed, their skillful hands moving rapidly. The excitement of the contest makes the labor light. Wool of Tyrian is contrasted with that of other colors, shaded off into one another so adroitly that the joining deceives the eye. Minerva wrought on her web the scene of her contest with Neptune. 12 of the heavenly powers are represented, Jupiter with august gravity sitting in the midst. Neptune, ruler of the sea, holds his trident and appears to have just smitten the earth, from which a horse has leaped forth. Minerva depicted herself with helmed head, her aegis covering her breast. Such was the central circle, and in the four corners were represented incidents illustrating the displeasure of the gods at such presumptuous mortals who had dared to contend with them. These were meant as warnings to her rival to give up the contest and proclaim her life forfeit to Minerva's will, before it was too late. Arachne filled her web with subjects designedly chosen to exhibit the failings and errors of the gods. One scene represented Leda caressing the swan, under which form Jupiter had disguised himself, and another, Danae, in the brazen tower in which her father had imprisoned her, but where the god effected his entrance in the form of a golden shower. Still, another depicted Europa, deceived by Jupiter under the guise of a bull. Encouraged by the tameness of the animal, Europa ventured to mount his back, whereupon Jupiter advanced into the sea and swam with her to Crete. You would have thought it was a real bull, so naturally was it wrought, and so natural the water in which it swam. She seemed to look with longing eyes back upon the shore she was leaving, and to call to her companions for help. She appeared to shudder with terror at the sight of the heaving waves, and to draw back her feet from the water. Arachne continued filling her canvas with similar subtle insults and subjects, wonderfully well done, but strongly marking her presumption and impiety. Minerva could not forbear to admire her mortal opponent's masterpiece, yet felt indignant at the insults she dared weave before her. She struck the web with her shuttle and shred it in pieces. She then proceeded to touch the forehead of Arachne and forced her to feel everlasting guilt and shame. The burden was more than Arachne could bear, and with a sadness as abundant as the goddess who cursed her with it, she hung herself. Minerva pitied her as she saw her suspended by the rope. "Live," she said. "Guilty and pious woman, that you may preserve the memory of this lesson, that you shall continue to hang, both you and your descendants for all time." She sprinkled her with the juices of aconite, and immediately her hair came off. Her nose and ears likewise fell to the ground. Her form shrank up, and her head grew smaller yet. Her fingers cleaved to her side and served for legs. All the rest of her was body. out of which spins her thread, often hanging, suspended by it, locked in the same attitude as she displayed so woefully when Minerva transformed her. All forever will feel the disgust Minerva felt when looking upon the mortal who dared to challenge and insult her, following her warning to be grateful for her gifts, but not to assume hubris as to be more masterful than the gods. All forever will gaze upon pride and woe in suspended unison. All forever will know Arachne and her descendants. For the world will forever inhabit the physical embodiment of the lesson in this tale. As Arachne's spiders' numbers continue to swell, one of her children surely inhabits that of which you dwell.